You're watching Holy Land Uncovered. I'm Sivan Raviv. Thank you for joining. I'd like to take this opportunity and introduce Rabbi Seth Farber, an Orthodox rabbi and founder of the ITIM organization, helping navigate religious authority and bureaucracy in Israel. Seth, thank you for joining us. I'd like to address a different issue within the U.S.-Israel relations, the different streams of Judaism. Now, you're known for being outspoken about the major obstacles posed for American rabbis. Can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Sure. ITIM has been involved in a 4-year struggle already to change the way Israel addresses, the state of Israel addresses diaspora Jewry. More than half the Jewish population of the world lives outside of Israel. And a lot of those Jews want to come to Israel, particularly to celebrate their life cycle events and particularly to get married. It's the number one destination spot for Jews from around the world, and for good reason. And Israel really should be a home to all Jews. In Israel, marriage is controlled exclusively by the ultra-Orthodox Rabbinate. And more we're finding that the Rabbinate dismisses Jews from around the world. They challenge their Jewishness. They question their conversions. Most importantly, they deny their very identity. And that is something we've been trying very, very hard to fight. What's happened in the last 24 hours is actually quite remarkable. After a 4-year struggle, the Rabbinate finally, in the last couple of weeks, published criteria by which they recognize certain people as Jewish and other people not as Jewish. And those criteria, which we fought long and hard for, we're very pleased that they are willing to be transparent, but we still have a long battle ahead of us because they're not as inclusive as we'd like them to be. I'm an Orthodox rabbi. ITIM is an Orthodox organization. We see ourselves not just speaking for the Orthodox community, but speaking for the entire Jewish community. And unfortunately, the Rabbinate's view, and unfortunately that becomes the state of Israel's view, is very myopic. They don't have a real understanding of the diversity of the Jewish world, and we're trying to change that.
Now, it's quite unique that you're an Orthodox rabbi, not Reform, not conservative, and sort of speaking out against an Orthodox rabbinate. How does that play out?
Look, I'm actually a proud member of the Israeli Rabbinate. I have a license to perform weddings. I'm officially recognized. For a certain amount of time, I was actually on the payroll of the Israeli government as an official rabbi of the state of Israel. But I also have a different perspective than many of the people who are part of the religious establishment. The religious establishment today doesn't understand the diversity of the Jewish world. They believe that the best way to continue the Jewish people is to consolidate. And they don't understand, they don't appreciate the price they're paying. In the name of Judaism, they're simply lopping off not hundreds or thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people who are fully Jewish, who have strong Jewish identities, who are very committed to Jewish destiny and the future of the Jewish people. And they're simply dismissing them. Now, a lot of people have given up on this fight. People think that the Rabbinate is an arcane institution. The Rabbinate in its current constellation is a problem. It's not reflecting the needs of the Jewish people. It's not fulfilling its historic destiny. But that's something at ITIM we're trying to change. And we're working very, very hard, and a lot of people would say effectively, to get the Rabbinate to understand the greater diversity of the Jewish world. So I don't think it conflicts with my Orthodox values at all. In fact, I think it's completely streamlined with them. The Orthodox community, the halachic community, the Jewish legal community that I subscribe to, the faith community that I'm part of, is an embracing one. It's a community that sees all Jews as part of sharing one day's destiny. And unfortunately today, primarily for political reasons, the Rabbinate isn't reflecting those values, and we need to bring them into line with where the Jewish community is today.
A lot of people in Israel are just simply giving up on the Rabbinate.
More and more people are getting married outside the Rabbinate. I understand them. I think that's a temporary stage. I think we have to look at things very long. We're not 70 years old in this country. We're 70 years young. And we have a lot of opportunities to shape the future destiny of the Jewish people. And simply to say that someone, because he doesn't belong to my particular stream or my particular thinking, simply to say he's not part of the Jewish world, that's a fundamental error. It's not part of God's plan in my reading of the sources. The historic destiny of this place, this holy place, this place with so much promise and so much destiny, is to be an embracing an umbrella for Jews from all different communities. I believe strongly, as a principle of faith, that the traditional Jewish legal codes are the ones that obligate us. In that sense, I very much find myself at the center, in the mainstream of the Orthodox community. But that doesn't make us dismiss Jews, certainly not out of hand. Unfortunately, more and more we see the Rabbinate doing that, and that's something that ITIM is working very hard to stop.
Okay, so very quickly, this year American Jews experienced some hardships with the Israeli authorities. We've heard the Deputy Foreign Minister Tzipi Chotobeli make remarks. We have the saga of the Western Wall prayer plan. How do you think all this affects the relationship between all sides?
Look, right now, there's a huge gap between the average American Jew and the Israeli government, particularly as the government is manifest in the Rabbinate. The Israeli government has a real responsibility to think hard and strong about how it wants to relate to diaspora Jewry. At the same time, diaspora Jewry has a great responsibility. As someone who came from North America and made Aliyah more than 20 years ago, I understand both sides. I think there's no excuse for comments like those of Tzipi Chotobeli. I'm being very clear. Government ministers make mistakes. They don't understand. They have political agendas that don't take into account the opportunities that this moment in Jewish history gives us. At ITIM, we're trying very hard both to work with government officials. Just yesterday, I met with 6 or 7 members of Knesset to explain to them once again why these criteria are a problem, why the Rabbinate is doing a disservice to the state of Israel. Diaspora Jewry also has no small amount of responsibility to express its love, its desire, and to speak up for the good of the state of Israel, and particularly for the good of the future of the Jewish people.
Okay, thank you, Rabbi Farber.
Thank you.
We're taking a short break. We'll be right back.